Hi everyone, I'm Lisa with Down to Earth Gardening, and I'm excited to show you today some mums. It's early September, so it's mum time. Nothing says fall to me more than chrysanthemums. So the video today is going to be on mum selection, planting, and care. So the first part here, I'm going to walk you through how we select our mums. We're out here at the farm today. It's early September. It's cooler. It's an ideal day to be out here selecting our mums for our clients' containers and gardens. We love doing fall displays, and although we do use a few other plants in the mix, I feel like the mums are really the centerpiece of them. And I think all the colors here, this is a good array of colors, really do say fall. We've got some purples, some yellows, some burgundies, a few whites, and some corals. So I just want to show you a few of the tags so you know what color we have here on our cart. So the one that I have in my hand here is a beautiful mauve rust color, and this is called Jacqueline Orange Fusion. And then just a couple of the others. This here is more on the purple side, and it's called Lucky Purple. And then down here we have this burgundy red, which is called Adine Red Fire. So when you select your mums, really just choose your favorite colors, or if it's going to be for curb appeal for your porch, your front entry, you may want to color coordinate with your home color, your trim, your front door, or some other accessories that you have out there on your porch. So for selecting mums, you can see here on our cart that we have selected, well, first we select for shape. So we like the nice mounded tight shapes, but we've selected them in all different stages of flowering. And that's really what I'm going to talk about. That's important for you guys to know. So we have some here that are in full bloom. They're just about all opened up. We have some here that are kind of half and half, so some bloom, some buds, like 50-50 maybe, and then others are just tightly budded. And there is a reason for that. So mums really do prefer and do optimal in full sun. So that would be 6 hours of sunlight per day. But wherever you're putting them, I think is important to know, because that's how you're going to choose your bloom phase, I'll call it. So you can do your mums in containers or directly in the ground. If you are going to use your mums as a display on your front entry and you find that it's shady, remember the mums do like full sun, then I would encourage you to go ahead and select mums that are in full bloom, because they're really going to struggle to open up and give you that show if they're shaded. So a porch or a covered entry is a great spot to have the mums that are already in full bloom when you're at the nursery. So I like to get some of mine in half and half if I'm going to use them in containers or out in the garden, even if it is a sunny location. And partially that's just because I like to start the show early. You know, I want them to start showing off right when we plant them. And also I really like to see if the color is true to the tag. So this one here is probably a good example of that. And maybe this is another good, like 50-50 mix here, this pretty purple. And then of course I have my tightly budded mums here, and those are definitely going to go in containers and in the ground that are in full sun. And I'm probably going to get the most mileage out of them. So I will say that although they like it sunny, they also do like the cooler weather. So that's why we tend to wait until the first or second week of September to go and pick up our mums. I know that it gets really tough because end of August you'll see mums out at the big box stores. However, they do not like it hot, and it's still pretty hot in August, so they're just not going to give you as much mileage. So once it starts to cool down and get a little rainier, that's the ideal time to buy them. So week 1 or 2 in September, and then they're going to last you until a hard frost. So for us, that's probably going to be 5 or 6 weeks that we're going to get out of these mums. So I do want to show you a little glimpse of what we see at the farm here. It's so hard to choose. They're all so beautiful, but just a sneak peek of what we see. And then I am going to walk you through how we plant our mums and some good aftercare tips. I'm out here in the garden giving a quick tutorial on how to plant a mum. We're going to plant these in 2 different spots, so 2 different options for your fall mum plantings. There's so many ways to decorate with mums. But the first option here that I'm going to show you is using your mums right in the garden. They make a fantastic bedding plant. And we like to put them towards the front of the garden because they are a little bit shorter, and it's nice to kind of show them off when everything else is looking kind of droopy and fading. So my first candidate here is a rusty orange mum, and it's called Fire Glow Bronze. Pretty fall rust color. And we do have the hole dug here. So what you want is a nice spot in the sun. This is a full sun garden, so it does get 6+ hours of sun a day. And you do want some well-drained, fertile soil. So Josh has already been kind enough to pre-dig my hole for the mum. So what we try to do is we try to go at least an inch deeper than the actual pot itself, and about 2 inches extra all the way around. And that will allow us to plant it and then fill the hole up with some nice compost or some rich soil. So first step here is taking the mum out of the container. And since they've been in the pots for a while, they are a little bit pot bound. So we like to just give them an edge by breaking up the fibrous roots a little bit. And this will really help them to get going quicker. So if you have a garden knife, you can also just make some slits here. We call this tickling the roots. So we're just really loosening them up a little bit to give them an edge. And then I'm going to check my hole here just to make sure. Yep, fits beautifully, and I do have some room here to fill the hole with some compost. So I brought some compost from my compost bin at the house, which is really great stuff. This is Gardener's Gold here, and there'll be some upcoming videos on composting how-tos, which I'd love to show you. So I have this, and we do work in this bed quite a bit, so the soil is pretty good here, and this is what was taken out. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a combination, but you can also just buy bags of garden soil if that is what you need. So we're just going to put a little bit here and a little bit of the compost here. Set it in. So I'm just really trying to get the top of the mum here level with the bed. All right, and then I've just got a mix of what we've taken out with the compost, and I'm just gonna go around and I'm gonna fill in the hole gently because this is a nice plump mum. Got some nice worms in here, which I love to see. And then really pack it down. Okay, and then we're just gonna pull the mulch back around the plant, and the mulch will help us retain the water a little bit. So mums are pretty low care, but when you plant them in the ground, I would water them at least every other day. And then of course you want to deadhead your mums for optimal growth and of course beauty. So that's it for your bedding plant, your bedding mums, and next we're going to show you how to plant mums in containers. Okay, so the chrysanthemum, we're back with the mum, and we're doing the container planting. So this is another great option for you, for your mums, for some easy fall decorating. This container here is placed right next to the front entrance. These also look great, of course, on porches, patios, so decks. So really nice option for decorating with your mums. It's very similar to planting a mum right in the ground in the garden. The biggest difference is probably the container, selecting the container and working with the container. So for the container here, we have an urn, which is fiberglass, also called a pedestal container. And you really want to make sure that it's got a drainage hole. So this is very important because you are going to be watering your mums daily and you don't want them floating in water. So first check for your drainage holes. If you don't have one, then we'll usually drill some right in there. This is fiberglass, so that's easy to do with the fiberglass. This material is my favorite to use because I can leave it out all winter and switch up my plantings. And then the next thing you want to consider is the interior depth of your container, because you do want it to be a little bit bigger than your mum. So like I said in the garden, we dig our holes, so there's at least an inch beneath it to amend the soil and 2 inches around it. So we do have 8-inch mums, so you are going to be looking for about a 12-inch interior diameter for your container. This one here is 14, so I'll have plenty of room to put my nice soil around it. And for a depth, I have for interior planting at least 1 foot here. So it does have a drainage hole, and I have filled it with about 2 inches of crushed stone, and that really provides some really nice drainage for my plants here. So I've prepped this, and I do have my soil ready. For this mum, I'm going to be using recycled potting soil, and I've added a little bit of granule fertilizer to give it a boost. But as I said, with the garden planting, compost is a really great amendment. That's gardener's gold, so you could use that as well. So I prepped my hole, and I have my beautiful mum here. I've got this gorgeous purple mum. And I love to show you the tags in case you want to look for the varieties that I have. So this one here is Veronica Dark Pink. I'm actually surprised that it's called pink because it is, to me anyway, a little more of a grape purple. And so I'm going to carefully take it out of the container. And you can see here that it's been in the pot for quite a while. And so we do need to loosen the roots or tickle the roots, as I showed you in the garden planting. The other thing that I wanted to show you is if you take it out of the pot and it's really dry, A quick thing that you can do with it is just give it a quick soak, and it's just clean water in a trug here, and that's going to really help it along. Give it an edge. We always like to give our plants an edge. So this is so pot bound. I'm going to use this is the Japanese hori hori knife, and I'm just going to score the outside of the plant a little bit here just to loosen it up. It'll be easier for it to get going here in my container. And then don't forget about the bottom. And then I'm just gently peeling it away on the outside. I will also say that this spot here next to the door gets a little less than half a day of sun, and as I said, mums really do prefer full sun, so I picked one that has a lot of flowers on it, and then that way I can ensure, you know, that I am going to get a blooming mum here by my front door. Okay, and so then I'm just going to give it some soil in the bottom, and that's my recycled soil mixed with a little bit of granular fertilizer here. That looks beautiful. Really goes to show that the mum can be beautiful alone. You have seen us use it in some mixed containers with some other fall annuals, but it's just really simply beautiful just all by itself. All right, and then using a trowel, a cup, your hands, whatever you prefer, you're just gonna go around the outside and you're gonna fill up the space here, making sure there's no air pockets. This is going to look really pretty when I put my pumpkins around it too. I think I can use white pumpkins even to really make it pop. It's harder to get the soil in the back here, so I'm really just, I know you can't see, but I'm scooching the soil that I put in the front around the back, so I filled it all the way around. So again, this is an 8-inch mum, and the interior diameter is about 14 inches. You really got to look for that when you select your container if you're shopping for containers, because sometimes they're giving you the exterior diameter and height, which is a little different. It can be different than your planting space. Got a little bit of cleanup here, but I'm a gardener, and so messes are pretty typical. Okay, and then that's it. So I'm gonna give this a really nice big drink, and I am gonna water every day unless we get some rain, fingers crossed, but a beautiful fall display. So thank you so much for viewing our mum video. We love fall, and I hope we brought you some good information today. If you like the video, please tap like and subscribe for some future gardening fun.